What's going on, motivators? We got another video. We got to talk about the crazy left, especially their denial when it comes to Trump assassination attempts. Let's get into this.
Who's come to kill the president? 3 assassination attempts on the president now. Charlie is dead. You have people on the left lionizing Luigi Mangione.
Well, there's a bar in Wisconsin.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
You have polling showing a tolerance for political violence on the left. And I heard Hakeem Jeffries say this week, it's maximum warfare all the time.
We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time.
Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Good to have you back on Fox News Sunday this morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, so you said last night, in the wake of this, you said it's time to end the political violence. How do we do that, sir?
Well, first of all, I'm thankful for the bravery and the heroism of the Secret Service and the men and women of law enforcement.
Well, he literally just said, we are in an era of maximum warfare. We could see these people are crying for their crazy left to come and do things like this. And then they're going to pretend like it never happened.
Thankful that everyone from the president and first lady on down are safe who attended the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And certainly thankful that this brave Secret Service agent who was shot has been released from the hospital and is on his way to a full and complete recovery. Listen, I think that here in America, we can have strong disagreements, but it's important for us to agree to strongly disagree without being disagreeable with each other. And it is certainly the case that violence is never the answer, whether it's
Things all sounds good, right? It sounds good if you put it in perspective. But they keep calling for violence every day, from Maxine Waters to Hakeem Jeffrey. They keep calling for violence. We don't make these things up. They keep calling for violence.
Ability out, shaming and shunning in. On the same weekend, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders is asked to leave a restaurant. Democratic Congresswoman Maxine Waters says don't let the public shaming stop with Sanders.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
The Congress.
Again, those people are the ones who are calling for the violence. And when it happens, they pretend like nothing happened. But we have the receipt, like I just showed you. Just last week, Hakeem Jeffrey was calling for it. This is Maxine Waters back in 2018. It has been an ongoing thing. The left have lost their minds ever since that Donald Trump came into power.
Yeah, and we had protesters last night outside the dinners. We do every year, and you're right. I mean, especially here in D.C., we see a regular protest. We celebrate the First Amendment, and that was what so much of last night was about. But there are those out there, and our polling continues to show, especially younger voters and younger people think that political violence is justified against your opponents. How do we speak into that? How do we change those minds? That's the next generation who increasingly says it's fine to use that against your opponents.
Well, I think it's going to be important for all of us, whether that's the president, the cabinet, members of Congress, people in the Senate, governors, state and local elected officials all across the country, to do the best that we can to set the most appropriate example.
I mean, how hard it is going to be to set an example when you're the one who's calling for violence and you're the one who's cursing and using insane rhetoric against your opponent. There are crazy people out there in the United States. That's why I'm a big advocate for bringing the asylum system back. A lot of people need to be admitted, and these people are calling for violence, and majority of the time, the people that are listening to them are the ones who have mental issues. And they're taking it upon themselves to mount on those horses and charge forward. And these people, as far as political leaders, they do not denounce it when it happened or prior to it. They cower away And they will probably be like, well, there's violence on both sides.
A violent streak on the left and a rhetoric problem on the left, and it must be acknowledged
So
today.
when I was at the Department of Justice, what we found is after the 2020 election, there was a significant rise of threats to all elected leaders, state legislators, some who were killed, to our president, Joe Biden at the time, Barack Obama. Someone tried to go into his residence. This is a problem.
Who's the president?
Hold on.
How
I
many
understand.
assassination attempts?
There are several
3.
assassination attempts
3.
to other presidents that were not successful. I agree. It should be investigated about why they continue. What are the failures of the Secret Service?
It's not a failure. It's the Democrats. They're the ones who are calling those people to do those things. Plain and simple. The right is not calling for anyone to get assassinated. The Democrats are calling for those things. It's online, evil, Hitler. If you name someone the worst person in the world, the devil, or you put them in a position where anything that they do could be seen as being evil, there's always going to be a loony out there who's going to take it upon themselves to make things right. Plain and simple. And this is what the left has done. They have equated Trump with the most evil that we know in our lifetime, Hitler. So a loony, 31-year-old, probably his mind is not right. Guess what he did? Flew all the way from California to D.C., tried to get the president out. Plain and simple. It's the rhetoric that the left touts that allows for their own voters to start doing those things.
Just quickly, the Speaker of the House in Minnesota, a Democrat, lost her life to political violence this past summer. This is not solely a problem on the left. It is a problem across the board. It is a rising crisis.
Don't downplay it this
way. It is
way.
a rising crisis in this country.
Stop generalizing the left. And stop generalizing the left as the entire left.
Candidates campaigning with Hassan
Listen
Piker.
to me. Stop generalizing the left as the left is the entire problem. I'm not mad at you,
We have a left
Scott.
I'm generalizing the left because there are more crazies than there are not crazies. So majority rule, right? I mean, this is what we learn in school, majority rule. There are some people on the left who are not acting crazy, but majority of them are crazy. They say some crazy thing. They swear all the time. The things they say online, they're always trying to get Trump assassinated. They cannot wait till he dies. That's what they live in. There is something that does not compute in their minds where Trump is only a president for 4 years. It doesn't make sense to the left for whatever reason it is. Trump deranged syndrome is something real, and the left has it.
Hasn't been transparent. I'm not going to get into the
About Butler?
Yes, I'm not going to get into the conspiracy about Butler, but the fact that he never released his medical records about Butler, and he claimed that his.
Well, you are getting into it. You're getting into it.
This is conspiratorial.
I'm saying
like the redistricting.
I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying the failure to talk about it honestly and provide transparent information.
But you do believe that actually occurred, though, right? Like this guy is saying
I have no reason to disbelieve it, but I'm telling you, the fact that he hasn't been transparent about this hasn't helped his case.
But aren't you being
This is so crazy, though, Keith.
You are intentionally making things vague so people will say, "Oh, listen to that guy." Whoa.
Well, I'm going to
clarify.
There's people that still don't believe that Trump assassination during the 2024 election was real. They think it's staged. This is the cookie that they're passing to their own groups. So who would not think that? Everything that they tout into their people, they're thinking that it's either a lie or it's true. Trump is Hitler. The whole assassination thing was staged, but don't mind that the firefighter behind him got killed. None of those things matter. These people are dragging their own voters down. And it's so fascinating to me. It's like the voters that they have nowadays, it's like the educational system does not teach them about history, about the Constitution. So it's almost like they're getting brainwashed by these politicians. Most of the people who support those people know nothing about the history of the United States. Only that Trump is bad right now. And I think that's staring the United States down a very wrong path.
All right, I'm going to go down the rabbit hole. You can make an issue. All right, here's the thing. The one thing I think, everybody's looking at me weird, I know.
This is
but
Butler, Pennsylvania.
This is Butler, Pennsylvania.
Oh, no, careful, man.
I'm not trying to get in trouble, but just the one thing that I think is very odd is the whole thing about the ear. The fact that he claimed that his ear was not nicked off, and everybody was wearing the Band-Aids at the Republican convention, and then it was healed a few weeks later. There's never been an explanation for that. I'm not saying that there's any, I'm not saying there's any truth to it. I'm just saying the lack of trans.
This is amazing. This is amazing. You cannot make those things up. You cannot make those things up. The left have really gone off the deep end.
For about 2 or 3 minutes before people were saying it's safe to get back up. They got him. We got up, and the first thing that Carrie said to me was, this is happening in schools across the country, and the kids have no resources to process their trauma. And so she was talking about gun violence and thinking about other people. And
this guy's a sleeves bag. Way to shift the attention off that they try to assassinate the president of the United States. I'm not saying no, that we don't have gun violence in the country, but way to move the distraction on that the left is being crazy and trying to assassinate the president of the United States. As you could clearly see in the picture, that guy, like I mentioned where he's from in California, Torrance, California, a 31-year-old teacher. He wrote in there from an old paper that his friend gave up, turning the other chick is for when you yourself are oppressed. I'm not the person raped in a detention camp. I'm not the freshman executed without trying. He also wrote, I'm not a school kid blown up or a child starved or a teenage girl abused by the many criminals in this administration. Turning the other cheek when someone else is oppressed is not Christian behavior. It is complicity in the oppressor's crimes. I mean, we're saying this right here. This guy sounds very deranged into his mindset, but people believe that this whole thing was made up.
Everything really truly looked a little odd last night.
He is ready to rumble. I will tell you, this speech tonight will be classic Donald J. Trump. It'll be funny, it'll be entertaining. There will be some shots fired tonight in the room. So everyone should tune in. It's going to be really great. I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Next. Why would they go after the vice president before they go after the president? But you know what? I'm going to leave this last video for the final thought.
I mean, if the people watched from the other angle, they were corralling Trump before they went to JD Vance. They moved Vance, but they were over Trump already, hovering over him before they even moved JD Vance. So all these guys are saying right here is such a lie because they're only watching it from one perspective.
And everything, because you know the crowd goes mild.
USA! USA! USA!
Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Again, pumping USA, at least you're patriotic and you're saying that someone got whomever it was who's trying to commit another atrocity, but they're going to call that it's a conspiracy.
Was planned with help. That this guy who had the shotgun, he had assistance because he traveled from California. Now, I had assumed that he got on an airplane, which means if you get on an airplane, you have to say that I'm carrying a firearm. It has to be properly locked and secured. And so
the mental gymnastics people have to do to get the point out, to not accept that that individual was a leftist who tried to commit another assassination on the president is wild. And you're going to hear this over and over with the left in how they perceive this take. That it could never be that they did something wrong. It always had to be like this whole thing was planned.
Well, Trump just used this active shooting to plug his ballroom. So we found the motive for him staging this performance at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. We found the motive. Of course, he was slipping. Well, actually, if we were at the White House ballroom, the security would have been in tip-top shape, and no one would have been able to get in with a weapon, which is actually mostly basic protocol for a security guard, you would think. So the fact that they didn't have even a bouncer, it feels like, there. This is so staged. It's so staged. And here's the fucking motive. He's gonna do anything to get that bunker.
You know what's wild about this too? These people have no idea what they're talking about. At the hotel, because it was an open hotel, it's not the premises of the White House. It's completely different. Anyone could go in there, but there was a second tier of security when it came down to that area of the ballroom. So to enter the ballroom area, you had to enter through that mag area. Now, do I believe there should be a mag area if the president's going to be there from the outside lobby? I believe that should have happened. But the main corridor where the president was at, the guy never came close to that. He pretty much passed the function of the actual building, i.e. the hotel, where they were. A lot of people have a whole bunch of viewpoints on social media. They're touting different things, but it's not connected because they don't know what they're talking about. Plain and simple. If this entire thing was at the White House, ballroom completed, this would have never happened because the level of security that you would have to enter into, that would have been impossible. It would have just not been an open venue, i.e., again, the hotel that people could have still went to, but one section was secure. That would have never happened. There's an additive layer to everything if it was in the White House. The Secret Service would have owned everything. My thing is that the left continue to shame themselves, showing how they have a blatant disregard for the president as far as when people try to kill him with assassination attempts. It's always something other than what's true. It's a fake. Someone's putting on some kind of conspiracy thing. It's never that the left is trying to do it. But let me know what you think inside the comments. All right, motivators, if you enjoy what you've seen and heard, please like, comment, share, but most importantly, subscribe to A Black Veteran's Perspective. Stay motivated.